Okay, good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're getting the chance to view this. My name is Bright Clay, and today I'm going to be talking about an ethical topic in actuarial science. But before that, I just wanted to let you know that I'm a person who stutters, so please be patient with me while I speak. Okay, so the topic is access to HIV insurance has greatly improved, but more should be done. First off, let's talk about what HIV is. HIV is a virus that attacks the immune system, specifically the white blood cells, which basically helps you fight off infections. So, in short, HIV is a virus that weakens the body's ability to fight infections, and it is spread through certain body fluids such as semen, breast milk, and vaginal fluids. AIDS is the most advanced stage of HIV. HIV progresses to AIDS if it is left untreated. Now let's talk about history. So the first cases of AIDS, back then it wasn't called AIDS, but the first cases of AIDS in the US were reported in June 1981, and by late 1981 to 1982, given that it wasn't called AIDS back then, the disease was labeled as GRID, gay-related immune deficiency disease, or they also called it the gay disease, because it started with affecting gay people. However, in 1982, the disease was renamed to AIDS to show that it doesn't just affect gay people, it affects everyone. By 1989, the reported number of AIDS cases in the US reached 100,000. So back then, receiving an AIDS diagnosis was literally like a death sentence. And by 1996, highly active antiretroviral therapy was introduced, which is basically so antiretroviral therapy is a treatment for HIV that helps suppresses the virus in the system, and it also helps like you steadily build your white blood cell count. So, why insurance? Why is it important when we're talking about HIV/AIDS? So, if I were to receive a HIV diagnosis today, one of the first things I would do is look at the cost of medication, look at the cost of antiretroviral therapy, and then I would look into my insurance to see if I would have any coverage. So, one, it is one of the first sources of support. It helps you afford routine care and medication such as antiretroviral therapy or ART. And three, it helps afford preventative care. So this is for people who don't have HIV diagnosis but want to protect themselves from contracting the virus. And some of the preventative care include PrEP and PEP. I would suggest you go research about these two things because I am not able to say the word right now because of my stutter. Okay, so how accessible was insurance for HIV in the 1980s? Not very accessible at all. So because back then receiving an AIDS diagnosis was literally like a death sentence, um, insurance companies refused to offer coverage to people with AIDS. They were discriminating against people from certain locations, such as San Francisco, which had a very high number of AIDS cases. They were also discriminating against people with stereotypically gay and bisexual jobs, such as hairdressing. Um, so yeah, but since the 1980s, a lot has changed. Access has been improved for people with HIV. Um, so back then, the timeline until death, unfortunately, for someone with AIDS was 2 weeks to to a couple of months. But now with the advent of HIV medications and more research, that can go over 10 years. Okay, so what has been done to improve accessibility? One is the Affordable Cares Act protection. So now the government has placed a protection that basically says that insurance companies cannot deny deny someone coverage based on their HIV status. Two, improved language. So back then, the disease was called the gay disease or GRID, which is basically um, basically discriminating against gay people, because there was this negative connotation like when talking about HIV/AIDS, it always related to like gay people. But now the language has improved. It's now called HIV, the most advanced stage being AIDS. So another thing that has changed is that there are now more research and preventative and also like medications such as ART. Okay, so what more should be done to improve accessibility, which is what this presentation is all about. So one is more awareness, more advocacy, and more education. So more, I think more education should be done. Like people should know more about the history and more about the disease, and also more advocacy. Like I think more I think more articles and papers should be written, more research should be done. People should get involved with organizations such as the Sexuality and Gender Alliance of Actuaries, which helps like push for inclusivity for topics like this. Two, I think um, we should adopt more gender inclusive language when talking about HIV/AIDS. Just give me 1 second here. Let me look at my notes. Yes, okay. So I think language should include transgender and non-binary people. Um, this helps like this helps us feel seen and respected. And three, I think this is also very important. I think clear information about obtaining HIV insurance coverage. There should be clear information on insurance companies' websites. Um, so when I was doing my research, I found it incredibly challenging to um, find materials for my argument. So I think insurance companies should not just make the next steps clearer, but they should also adopt gender inclusive language. So, in summary, while significant progress has been made, these efforts should be more widespread and intentional. Insurance companies should make their information to be not just inclusive, but also more accessible. And on our end, let's keep up the conversation and do our part. And these are my references. I'm gonna move this up a bit so you can see this, and then I'm gonna move it down now, and then go to the next slide. Okay, well, thanks for listening. And if you need access to this presentation, just reach out to me on LinkedIn at Bright Uwakwe. Have a nice day.